Right. Hello. Can everybody hear me all right? Yeah. Put your hand up if you can't hear me at all. No? No? We doing all right? I said, are we doing all right? There we go. Let's have some fun. Come on. Right. Okay. Just to answer the important questions first, I usually get some questions when I am at conferences. The second most common is, where are you from? First, incidentally, is who the heck are you? The third most common question, I'm from here, I'm from Telford, it's awfully nice now, it's okay. The third most common question I get asked is, where is that? It is there. There you go. That's really it. Also, if anyone is interested and wants to hear me talk about films an awful lot, I am also the host of an upcoming podcast, Tech Film Noir, where we each episode take in a film and talk about it. Something to do with tech. We just won... Oh, we've got a hand up. I am so sorry. Okay, I will now stand in front of the projector. So, yeah, we just did one on Weird Science. Spoiler, I did not like that film. Corner me afterwards, I have opinions. So, let's move on with this talk. I've got a limited amount of time and I need to get through an awful lot of stuff very quickly. So, what was the first hacker movie ever made? Can anyone give me a guess on which decade the first hacker movie ever made? Go on. 1990s. No. Anyone else? Sorry? 20s. Ooh, well, interesting guess, but no. No. 60s. Yes, give that gentleman person a prize. Yay. 60s. The first hacker film was made in the 1960s. It was called Hot Millions. I used to think that it was The Italian Job, which is indeed a hacker movie, and I used to think that the first hacker in the world was Benny Hill, of all people. But no, it was Hot Millions, a rather obscure British film starring our first hacker ever depicted on screen, Peter Ustinov. Classic actor from way back. He is a guy with tech skills who comes out of prison and thinks that there's an awful lot of big tech companies that have money. He has skills but no money. Some sort of amicable exchange can be worked out. He sets himself up as the head of the tech team of a big company that make... Honestly, it's actually unclear, but something. It also features a very young Maggie Smith. If anyone remembers her from Harry Potter and other things, this is her when she played the female romantic lead back in the 1960s. She was young once. So he gets herself set all up in a big company and, of course, starts trying to do all sorts of malicious things because that's what he wants to do, is steal all their money. So let's talk briefly about employee fraud, because that's basically what this is, employee fraud. This is the idea that we have an employee who works in our company legitimately but has bad intention. It's really common. This is something they don't talk a lot about, the employee fraud. It's really common. Ask anyone who works for a shop brand on the high street and they'll tell you how common that is. Mostly unreported. Most companies don't like you to know just how much employee fraud goes on. But the main cause is desperation. Unlike our guy who just wants to become incredibly rich, most of the people who go on to do fraud are people who are in poor financial situations and are just desperate and have, as they say, motive and opportunity. Most common forms is billing fraud and stealing cash. This is not grand fraud you tend to see in Hollywood, where we're stealing millions, the hot millions of that film. It's really just petty theft. That's really what we're talking about. Someone has got their hand in the till and swipes a little bit of change. Not literally that in principle. That's the most common fraud. I'm not saying grand frauds don't happen, but when they do, they're usually carried out by management. It's also 70% likely to be men. Sorry men, you suck. And costs around 5% of the annual revenues of companies that are subject to this. That's a lot. Especially for big companies. This is a big deal. It might be an awful lot of petty frauds, but it still adds up to quite a lot. How do we prevent this? Know your employees. I told you, the main cause is desperation. Get to know your people. What are their problems? What can you do to help? What do you as a company do to help? Maybe you can't literally give them extra money, but maybe you can at least give them support, whether that is emotional or whatever. There's all sorts of things we can do. Supervision. Don't be sitting over their shoulder looking at everything they do, but just make sure that there is an eye that's got an eye to what they're doing. A tamper-proof document trail. Just if you're going to do it, make it really hard. Remove the opportunity. And audits. Same basic idea. So try and prevent it from happening in the first place by knowing your people, but if they are going to do it, then make sure they know that it will all be traceable. The places where this is more likely to happen is where there simply is no way to audit what the heck just happened and the money is just gone. There is also a common problem at the moment, at least in some countries, with literal fake employees. It tends to come out of North Korea. This is a thing. They will set people up as real employees in your country, wherever your country is, whether that be the US or whatever, and where they really are is North Korea. And they set up literal laptop farms in countries that are hosting this to give themselves the appearance of an IP address which is legitimate for that company and pose as a remote worker somewhere in your same country, but they're not. And all of that money is actually just being siphoned off to North Korea. That is an actual thing that is happening. So our guy who, in our film, Peter Ustinov, finds that every attempt he makes to alter the documents results in legal procedure, which means I don't know, doesn't matter, whatever. Computer says no. Because there's a security device. This is it. It is a literal blue light. Fine, okay, no one in their right minds is going to understand the real complexity of what the heck this is all about, so fine, blue light is the security. And he is watching the cleaning ladies one day, and one of them realizes that her pot of tea is too cold. Did I mention this was a British film? And she wants to warm it up. So she gets her bucket of water, bangs it against the computer, the blue light pops open, and she pops her kettle inside because it's really warm in there, inside the workings of the security device. Because that's why it's called hot million, you see. Once the lid is popped open on blue light, the security is offline. He can do whatever the heck he likes. All he has to do is whack the machine in the right spot and the security device comes off. Yeah. Isn't that marvellous? This is possibly a good time to talk about vulnerability reporting, because that's what that is. That is an unreported vulnerability in the system. Any of those cleaning ladies could have said that there is a vulnerability there. And, a grateful company could possibly have gone and bought them, say, a kettle or something to heat their tea without ruining security. But that's a joke, but it is a legitimate problem. So make it easy to report security vulnerabilities. Have a security.txt on your website that makes it dead easy for anyone to drop you a message. Put your contact details on it. Take it seriously. If people report vulnerabilities and they're not seeing anything happen, they're going to stop reporting and you're just going to have vulnerabilities that no one can do anything about because no one cares. Rewards. It doesn't even, and yes, bug bounties is a thing, but it doesn't have to be. An awful lot of people just love a bit of prestige. Like, get the vulnerability report, fix it. And then a little bit later, once enough time has passed, put a thing up saying, yay, really grateful to XYZ because they helped us fix this serious vulnerability. We're so grateful. Thank you. That's all it takes for most people. I'd be chuffed with that. So our guy goes about setting up fake accounts all over with names of companies which are taken from classical composers like Debussy and people like that. And then runs off to Argentina to become a wealthy person, but finds the world boring, and actually he ends up rejoining his same company, but now as the security expert. Except that actually happens. Maybe not the same company, okay, that's a little bit of a joke. But an awful lot of security advisors are former cybersecurity criminals. That is a thing. Right, now let's talking about going from the sublime to the ridiculous. Batman and Robin. Has anybody seen Batman and Robin? I am so sorry. This film is what we call bad. It is a bad film and there is just about nothing good to be said about it. Join me later in the pub if you want me to list at length why this is a bad film. But let's talk about one scene I found particularly amusing. Alfred there is lying, possibly dying in bed, and he's got his niece here, and he's decided that someone has to take over from him as the English butler to Batman. And he has a cousin who is also an English butler, and he wants his English butler cousin to become the new English butler to Batman. So he has a case here with all of the secrets of Batman. Now his niece doesn't know. She's being a good girl apparently, and just say, I will deliver this absolutely to your cousin and not open it. Spoiler, she lies and shimmies it open with a screwdriver, and it's got a CD-ROM in there. That looks like DVD-R to me. Fine. So she pops herself her glasses on so that she looks brainy, and we have a go at trying to crack into this box. It turns out to be an app, and I think was developed Windows 3.1 by the looks of it, and it's called, notice, Alfred CD. He took the time to change the name on the form. That's lovely. So, is the password? We've got so many tries. So many tries, you see. So many tries before we can get into our thing. Try one. Alfred. Is it Alfred? No. No. Shush. Is it Wayne? Well, he works for Bruce Wayne, you see. So it could be Wayne. No. Try two, gone. Is it England? Notice we've zoomed in here. It's almost like the test footage of this was completely unusable after a certain point. Anyway. England. Yeah, Alfred's from England. Think outside the box. I like it. No, it's not that. But who's this? On the desk, next to the computer. It's a picture of Alfred's ex-girlfriend, Margaret. Could it be Margaret? No. That would be too easy. But wait, there's some writing. Love Peg. She called herself Peg. Is it Peg? It is. It's Peg. So the password, the super secret password to get you all of the secrets of the Batcave and Batman is Peg. Fine. Also, something to notice here. Love Peg? See that? Love Peg? No Love Peg. Love Peg? No Love Peg. It's almost like the test audience couldn't understand the scene properly and they had to completely refill half of it. Possibly. Anyway, that's terrible. A 3-character password to get you everything. She gets into the Batcave with this and is now basically equal to Batman, and all she had to guess was a 3-character password. So let's talk about passwords. User accounts. There's no user account on Alfred CD. Anyone could be doing that. That could be the Joker. The Joker could work out a 3-character password. He's probably crazy enough to try every combination. And you would have no way to know that it's the Joker doing it. Now the Joker's got in, got all the secrets of Batman, and no one knows. Shush! Keep it down, you. And there's always one. High entropy. Words that aren't words. I mean, yes, I know about the horse battery, whatever it was trick. They know about that now. It doesn't work. They just use words as characters and are just as easy to hack as ever. Don't do it. Use a randomized password of some sort that's unpredictable. Common password check. There's lists, literal lists of thousands of common passwords. You could easily have an in-browser check that says, if you're on this list, you ain't going. Sorry. Maximum attempts. Alpha CD has an account, a try check count, but no actual thing that says, you've tried too many times, I'm just going to self-destruct like something out of Mission Impossible, which is what we should be doing. Multi-factor authentication. Okay, we can get on, that's a whole thing in of itself. Password managers. I use a password manager. Every single website I've ever got an account with has got a different password. Look at something called credential stuffing. People that hack this password and try every account you've got. It's dangerous. Storing hashes. Whole technical thing. Talk to me afterwards if you want to understand what that is, but if you are using passwords and saving them, do not store the passwords, store something else that's safer. Salt the hash. Once again, technical, I've only got so much time, but if you are storing passwords, there are things you should be doing to make sure you are not being an absolute whatsit and storing them safely in a form that can't be used and abused. Free authentication is becoming a thing now. Passwords are becoming something of a passé thing. It's dead easy for people to know a password and use a password. So biometrics, eyes, fingerprints. There's probably other things too. I once had a boss that was fairly convinced that you'd use a biometric scanner on his nose. I don't know if that was true, but fair play to him. Multi-fact devices. It's becoming pretty common these days. I have just recently finished working for a company that used multi-fact with my phone. Smart cards. I know companies that do this. Literal card on your belt. Pop it in, logged in. When you leave the desk, you pull it out, auto log out. One-time password, OTP. That's becoming a thing now too. Used to be fairly rare. I used to go to India a lot. Over there I saw it all the time. Now it's coming here too. That's another thing. Let's talk about Hackers. Hackers is a great film. Everybody should watch Hackers. Yeah. Hack the planet. I love this film. Absolutely unapologetically. So there is a very famous scene where this guy, the baddie, the plague, his pronouns are the plague, lists all of the most common passwords. He says, love, secret, sex, God. Is this true? I wonder. Let's have a look. So I got some passwords. Don't ask me where I got this from. These are the most common passwords available around the world. The most common password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, in fairness, these all look like test accounts, and I have to give some credit here. So I filtered out all the ones that either utterly cretinous passwords or test accounts, I don't know which. And we get this. The most common password is in fact football. Football, okay. I mean, most countries have a sport called football. It's not always the same sport, but nevertheless, it's a thing. Let me in, dragon, baby. Dragons, sure, dragons. I like dragons. Flowers, I like flowers, but what that puzzles me is the second most common. Monkey. Monkey. Don't while being recorded. Incidentally, does anyone feel a sudden need to change their password? Just wondered. So, yeah, those specific four no, but fairly plain text type stuff. So the other thing that happens in our film is it opens with our lead hacker being taken to court. This is not him, this is his lawyer, this is him. Now, you laugh, but actually, this is not wrong. The vast majority of hackers, at least those in court, are kids. Let me introduce you to Lapsus. He was 18 years old when he was arrested for hacking into Rockstar games and leaking a whole load of footage early of one of the Grand Theft Auto games. Daniel Kelly. He failed at school, was been told he was thick and suggested that he maybe take a nice manly sport like rugby. I do not approve at all. He performed a DOS attack against college. Max Whitehouse, I don't have a photo, 17 years old, hacked an online gambling site. They're kids. An awful lot of hackers are taken to court by their mums because they're not old enough to drive. The point is, Hollywood love this image of the secret genius in their secret lair with their hoodie and their mask and green text, because it's always green, for some reason. And like, who are this like Joker-style next-level genius. The reality is they're kids. They're kids trying the locks on every door in the street to see who left their door unlocked. That's what we're facing. They're doing it because bored. We're doing it because, that's what we're facing. Not geniuses. You don't have to cover every single security hole. It just has to be good enough. Good enough that the next guy's more tempting than you are. So, we do see a hack. He phones up the security guy at the company, at a TV station that's about to play a recording by a far right guy, and says that, would you give the stuff off the back of the router there? And he says, sure, okay, here you go, and hacks it and replaces a far right broadcast with episode The Outer Limits. Wonderful. Incidentally, there was actually a hack like this in America in the 1970s. An episode of Doctor Who was interrupted by whatever this is. It's meant to be Matt Headroom or something. You can watch the footage on YouTube. It's terrifying. So if you like sleeping, don't watch it, but otherwise feel free. Social engineering attack. This is an example thereof. Phishing. That is a social engineering attack. This is trying to contact someone and saying, like, trying to pretend you're legitimate. Click this link, open this thing, we're legitimate. Do this thing. This is how an awful lot of hacks start. I've heard a story about a very well-known UK company where they were subject to a ransomware attack purely because somebody somewhere clicked a link they should have clicked. It's very common and very dangerous. Baiting, leaving a website like something that looks like an online purchasing site which looks tempting with lots of nice cheap goods, but just leaving it there for people to find. That's baiting. Pretexting, pretending someone's not. Whale phishing. This is going after someone big. This is like phishing, but you're going after the CEO or something like that and actually researching them and trying to seem legitimate to them so that you can do something really quite scary. So what can we do about phishing? Phishing itself, 75 times more phishing sites than malware these days. There was a time when I started out in this business when malware was a thing. You had to be careful. You had to put viruses, checks into your computer. You had to put disabled JavaScript, do all sorts of things because malware was built into everywhere. It was in advert banners. They don't bother these days. It's a waste of their time. Phishing gets more dividends, so this is what they do. I feel sorry, incidentally, for any actual Nigerian princes with some money to shift, because no one's ever going to touch them. There are 2 million phishing sites registered on Google, and I bet that's only the ones they know about. I bet you anything there's tons more. There are an estimated 1.8 million losses. That's in 2020. I couldn't get solid figures more up to date than that, because I'm sure a lot of companies would rather that's not published. Men are 225% more times more likely to fail for phishing than women. Once again, men, you suck. And 86% of organizations had someone click a dodgy link. I told you, it's common. It's easy to do. It's easy to seem legitimate. And it's probably not even from the vectors you think. Love, for example, is a vector. So let's talk about pretexting. This is Frozen. Prince Hans here pretends to be a nice fairy tale prince. Spoiler, sorry for anyone who has not yet watched the 2002 film Frozen. He's totally the secret villain. And he's using love as a vector. See, isn't he mean? Because that works. Let me introduce you to AI Brad Pitt, who recently conned a lady out of 830 million euros. We laugh. But I would like to say that I don't think that any of us that haven't at some point in our lives fallen low enough emotionally that we might not be vulnerable to this sort of attack. As a species, we want love. We want connection. We want to be connected to others. I mean, yes, this lady possibly could have passed some of these ideas of passing money around through somebody else, but she did not. Fine. But nevertheless, it's a thing. How can we prevent staff training? Train people, tell them what to look for, tell them what to expect. I know a lot of places now do things like they generate fake phishing emails, and if you click the link, it actually says, look, you just totally fell for phishing. Stop doing this. I'm going to tell your manager. Minimal necessary abilities. Okay, if our staff are a vulnerability, don't give them the ability to do anything more than literally what they need to do as part of their job. Separate admin accounts. Have one account which you work on, and then when you need to install some software or something, switch to admin mode. If admin mode is something that you need, standardized processes. Someone phones up and says, hey, I'm from tech support, will you totally buzz this IP in or something like that? You say, no, raise a ticket, I am not touching this, ta-ta. I know a lot of places that still do that sort of unofficial, we take a phone call to do what you say approach. It's dangerous. Also, staff training, I'd like to emphasize that again. It's really the way forward. So our hacker goes about doing things like setting off the sprinklers to prank people and stuff like that. It's a fun little film, and yeah, that sort of stuff's dead easy to do. IoT devices and all that, super insecure. That's a huge problem. Look up the Mirai botnet if you want to know more about how dangerous insecure IoT devices can be. But I'm not really going to hackers too much, but someone uses the guard password, which the film doesn't know the difference between username and password. They're the same thing in the film. And this guy is actually doing something called, the hack bad guy is actually doing something called salami slicing. The idea is that you take rounding errors and you shave off those pennies, and over time it becomes a huge wad of money. Hollywood loved this one. It is also the plot of one of my favorite films, Superman 3, which is also about salami slicing. And I don't believe there's ever been a documented case in the real world of this actually happening. Your low-level employee fraud is much more thing. It finishes on so there's a bit where they try and cause problems to the federal agent who's trying to chase them. So they do things like they have his bank card registered as no good and get cut up in front of him. They have him put down on record as having traffic violations, and they have him registered dead. Now, there is actually, of these three, one of them is a legitimate problem in the real world, being registered dead. Let me introduce you to Padisar Yadav. He is from India, and he is a member of the Indian undead community. He is dead in every sense except that he's still alive. That's an actual problem. There is, typically, death is a one-way process, and there isn't usually a facility to restore the dead to life in document form. So there is a common thing happening around India, for example, where people are trying to commit property fraud by registering the owner of the property as dead, and there is no way for them to be restored to life in document form. So this man continues to live dead. It's a thing. But at the end of the film, it is time to hack the planet. There is, we do some dumps diving, going through the rubbish. We go and have a look at sending people in with hats on, clipboards to have a look at the office and pretend and install devices surreptitiously. Just sending a guy in that's delivering flowers, but while he's there, he's looking at passwords. Stuff like this. And, this is all the fairly legitimate stuff that could work. On-premise security. This is really, really important. Mark the security level of documents. If it's a secure document, important stuff, don't just put it in rubbish. Shred that stuff. Secure disposal. Have a locked box where you put your secure documents. ID cards. I mean, yes, they're of limited use, but there's something at least. Staff training, once again. Tell people that it is okay to challenge people at the door. It's alright. You can do it. Multi-factor authentication, because, the password itself isn't enough. Restrict visitors. Why is the guy delivering flowers being allowed into the actual office? Why can't I drop it at the desk? Signed in and out. Who are they? Who are they coming in? When are they coming up? Stuff like that. And finishes with a massive hack battle, which has to be seen to be believed. It's marvellous. I recommend, if nothing else, watching this scene. Basically, what they're doing is a form of DDoS attack, which is where you get millions and millions of devices and get them all to attack the same thing all at the same time. And it becomes, like if you take a little pea and chuck it at a window, it's not going to do much. But if millions of you gather and all chuck peas, eventually something's going to give. DDoS attacks are one of those slightly unsolvable problems in today's IT infrastructure. There are record levels of DDoS attacks happening. A lot of them are thought to be sponsored by governments. There is a short list of 2 who are making what appear to be ranging attacks against the US internet infrastructure. Not so long ago, a whole chunk of it was taken offline and sites like Twitter were unavailable. Now, these days, that doesn't bother me as much. But nevertheless, it is a thing. It is dangerous and it is terrifying. We don't even know just how deep that particular pool of DDoS goes. I suspect if there ever were a genuine other world war, the first thing that would happen is everyone would start attacking each other's internet infrastructure. DDoS mitigation. Wait. It's really hard to solve this problem. It's not coming from one place. It's not a great big one monster that's charging at you. It's a billion little ones. Pay up. It's often someone who wants some money. Just pay them and go. I mean, yes, it's not terribly moral, but nevertheless. Distribute web hosting will minimize the problem. It won't solve it, but it will be a few pots at once. It's hard for them to DDoS all of them. Upstream traffic scrubbing. There's plenty of services out there that do that. Someone who's going to take the damage here so that you don't get it downstream. IP blacklisting, limited use. There's still a million attackers, and there's hosting service that will provide this for you. So but all this is mitigation. It's not going to solve the problem. IoT laws. I could talk at length about this. There should be laws about securing IoT devices as standard. Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park's quite a good film. Let me introduce you to Dennis Nedry. He is not a very good developer. He says he can debug, 3 million lines of code? Yeah, so can I. So what? But he has financial troubles, and the boss ignores him. It should be a red flag. There's 2 red flags, both an employee with financial trouble and the boss ignoring it. What could possibly go wrong? He gets corrupted and starts selling out to their competitors. So he hacks something into the code of Jurassic Park, and is that Object Pascal? They're doomed! But also, I don't know if you see up the top there, it's a little funny. He's named the codebase Nedryland. He has named the codebase after himself. I've worked for people like Dennis Nedry. They are dangerous. They are dangerous people. They think they are the smartest person in the room. That might even be true, but they think they're irreplaceable. They think everything revolves around them, and they do not see the danger of this. And the company that they work for is often happy to lean on this apparently self-motivated genius individual, and that is a dangerous situation to be in. What if they leave? What if they win the hypothetical lottery? What if they become corrupted by a competitor? All of those mean the end of your business. Which indeed it does. He puts a timer in Jurassic Park, which shuts the whole thing off, and takes off all of the security fences. They do try and put he put this thing in Deuce. Can anyone else, by the way, actually hear this slide at the moment? I can hear this right now. So they switch it off and on again. Which weirdly works, except now we've booted back to console, and to get the UI working, we have to go all the way over to the other side of Jurassic Park, and we have to press some buttons, which apparently then do that. Unfortunately, there are flesh-eating dinosaurs in the park. Who would have predicted in a site full of flesh-eating dinosaurs that turning off all the fences was going to end in everyone getting eaten? But nevertheless, this is what happens. So let's talk about how we mitigate the problems of dinosaurs attacking and eating our guests. Developer culture. Dennis Nedry is a terrible developer, not because he doesn't have good output, not because he doesn't have good results, but because his culture is bad. He does not collaborate. He does not take criticism. He has financial issues. He is an egotist. And frankly, he's a slob too. And none of this is okay. I'm maybe guilty of that one, but it's not a good mix for companies. Not these days. We can't afford to have these sort of basement-dwelling geniuses running our IT department anymore. There's too many of us. There's too much riding on IT to put up this stuff. We shouldn't be doing it. More developers. Spared no expense. Hired one developer. If there'd been 2 developers, they could have checked each other's work, and maybe something could have spotted that, or the guys are now going to cut 2 developers and just doubled their outgoings. Disaster planning. They should have actually thought, what if somebody switched off the park and all the dinosaurs came out and started eating everyone? They should have had a plan, but they didn't. A fail strategy. They didn't have a fail strategy. Fail open, fail closed. If you were a park full of flesh-eating dinosaurs, fail closed. If you are a shopping centre on fire, fail open. It's fine. There's the right one in the right situation, but choose one. But, are we actually out of time now, or? Oh, okay. If anyone minds, I'm going to talk about The Net. Feel free to go if you want, but I love The Net. Has anyone seen The Net? It's a marvellous film. It's so stupid. I love it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Sandra Bullock. She's incredible. But, yeah, she's a software tester, right? A software tester. And she's sent Wolfenstein 3D to test. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty slick. I love that job. She's told that there is a virus in Wolfenstein 3D, which everyone's got. It's a CD-ROM game, by the way. But everyone's got the virus. Oh dear, that sounds bad. If someone says the escape key, it kills the character. That's rough. So what she does is she gets an hex editor out and hex edits the virus out of Wolfenstein 3D. Now no one has the virus anymore. Everyone's saved. Thank you, Sandra Bullock. The Net. So much I could talk about, but she gets sent a disk, which she's told has got a website on it. So this is a floppy disk with a website on it, incidentally. Now the bad guys don't have the website anymore, because it's on the floppy disk, you see, they sent it to her. And she looks, it's called Mozart's Ghost. She logs in, connects a rather charming old-fashioned dial-up router. And it turns out there's a little thing, and if you click it, in the bottom of the screen there, a little pie thing, yeah, it hacks you into any website in the entire planet. Because the baddies made this website, put the little pie thing there. You have to press it while holding, I think it's Control and Shift or something like that. And it didn't occur to them there's a website and no one would ever try that. It just didn't occur to them. And so she ends up having to go on the run because the baddies go and fake all her records to make her a criminal. She has to run away with the floppy disk. Because she's got the floppy disk, the baddies don't have it anymore. The Net. So, this is an example of security by obscurity. The baddies thought, no one will ever go and see that pie thing and click on it and hold Control and Shift or whatever it was. And they're probably right, but this is the internet, guys. We know what the internet's like. Of course someone will try it. And also they deal with third-party contractors. They were contracting out to Sandra Bullock for testing, and they sent her the evil build. They should have sent her the good build to test and then deployed the evil build to production. That would have made more sense. So be careful what you give them, and be careful with what they give you. Because, it's a third-party contractor. So, quickly sum up, that's the end, because we don't have time. Your main vulnerability is your people. Educate them. Educate them. If they're lacking in knowledge, then fill that knowledge gap and tell them what to expect. Get to know them. Get to know them. If they have emotional problems, talk to them. If they have financial problems, advise them, even if you can't do anything about it. It removes the motive that can lead to desperation, which can lead to all sorts of Infosec problems. And I can't remember what that slide means. But okay, one more minute. And also, last thought is that Infosec security is like a bike lock. If there's a whole load of bikes and there's one of them is not locked, all the rest are, crooks are going to steal that one. If all of them are locked, but all of them have got big locks, and one of them's a little lock, they'll go for that one. Your security doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better than the next guy. It's like if you and a friend running away from a lion. You don't have to outrun the lion. So, if anyone is interested, this is my website and my blog. Feel free, if anyone wants to read my ramblings. They're mostly about software development and C#, which is my day job. I do occasionally write about films as well, because that's my other passion subject. And I will talk about films at length without being prompted for hours. Sorry, in advance, except I'm not. And also, to remind everyone, I am also going to be hosting this film podcast, which is coming out in the near future. We've recorded about half a dozen episodes already. More coming as we're meeting this week to talk about Stranger Days, I think it's called. That one looks like a pretty good one. I'm looking forward to that one. And that's the end. Thank you very much.